And it's associated, of course, with liking things and disliking things. Momentary flickers of discomfort or appreciation, enjoying something, or having to bear with it because it's not very comfortable. All that kind of thing goes on. Feeling. Underneath all our complexities of our ways of thinking and planning and organising our lives is feeling. We want pleasant feeling. Don't want unpleasant feeling. Physical feeling, and then there's also, you might say, emotional feeling. Being comfortable, feeling happy in oneself. Feeling life has a purpose to it. So if we're bright, positive, you don't want to feel useless. So all these mental statements, mental actions give rise to particular kinds of feeling. Naturally, this can be simplified. The Buddha said, mostly in the world you're experiencing these, what are called the worldly winds. Success and failure. Social success, employment success, or failure. Winds are blowing, making mistakes, getting it wrong, failure, success, failure. Gaining and losing, getting ahead, getting something, losing it. And praised, appreciated, being blamed. Acquiring status and losing it. These are examples of the polarities that flow in the world. So in very simple terms, when I'm coming to the airport and standing in the, waiting in the delivery where the baggage comes down the conveyor belt. In that state, you don't have the baggage, but you haven't lost it either. It's just, is it going to happen or is it not going to happen? You're waiting. Perhaps it's lost. Perhaps they sent it to Indonesia instead. Perhaps it's lost, gone. And then, oh, it's my bag. Bag comes through, you feel happy for a moment. Then you pick it up. Oh, why is it so heavy? You feel so unhappy. And then I got my bag, and you go to the customs, they say, take everything out of your bag, I want to look at this. You feel unhappy. And then they say, it's okay, put it all back together, you feel happy. I'm relieved I've got through, I succeeded to get through the customs. It's like that, isn't it? Rippling. So life has these polarities. Agreeable, that which you want, that which you don't want. Succeeding, failing, making mistakes, feeling like you're an idiot. Getting succeeded, praise, giving a prize. Success, got it right, that's comfortable, that's great. All this thing going on is to the world. And it just keeps like that, and you don't find a place where it becomes steady or stable. And in that flow, sometimes you just get tired of just all that moving this way, that way, trying to get it right all the time because you don't want to get it wrong. Nobody wants to have, what's your aim? I'd like to fail all the time. Nobody wants that. But sometimes you can't even fail all the time. You occasionally get things right. So you can't even rely upon failure. So everything is changing. Where am I? Where am I going? What's the point? look in our societies and we say, yeah, we're progressing. Definitely progressing, There's more air conditioning, very nice, keep the body cool, air conditioning, very nice. And travel, you have to get on a boat and just zip across to another country in a plane, definitely progress. When you get sick, there's some medicines, you shoot a needle in your arm and you get vaccinated and healthy, great, definitely progressing. And then you look at the other side of it. Overpopulation, too many people, oh dear. And then all this pollution, oh dear. And then all those planes we're riding around the world in, destroying the atmosphere, oh dear. The air conditioning is great, but the air conditioning is causing the atmosphere to heat up. Oh dear, that's not so good, is it? And so you try to find a way to ethical living. So you say, okay, in ethical living, let's see, live more ethically. We stop eating meat, because meat production, very extravagant use of the earth's resources, killing all these animals, and all the gas coming out of the animals' bodies, and waste polluting everything. So just eat vegetables instead. Okay, vegetables, to plough all the fields up so all the worms get killed, and you spray all the vegetables so the insects get killed. And you have to transport the vegetables in some kind of vehicle that then causes more problems. Oh dear. Well, it just goes like this, doesn't it? Success, progress, decline. Progress, decline. Something's progressing, something's getting broken up. So the idea that you realise that we can progress itself is a little bit of a wrong view. Yeah, you can. Every progress, there's also a decline in some other respect. One balances out the other. So if you have a lot of security, then you don't have so much freedom. Freedom is be what you want, do what you want, but then it gets chaotic. Everybody just does what they want, it becomes chaotic. So let's get it all properly established, controlled. Then people feel, we want more freedom, we feel too constricted. It's safe, but it's boring. It's repressive. We want our freedom, we want our rights. Free speech. In free speech, people tell lies. So you see a country like America where free speech is just, everything is just lies, all the media are telling lies, it's no problem. There's nothing, if you want to be the President of the United States, there's no law that says you can't lie. So you can run an entire campaign on complete lies, and that's okay, because it's freedom. Hey, no freedom of speech? That sounds bad. The freedom of speech is bad too. So, where's the progress? The ideal progress is balance, where you maintain awareness over your actions. Maintain awareness of your actions, cause and effect. What you can say, what you can manage to have some awareness of. What you can find balance in. Recognizing that if you do find that sense of balance in yourself, then it doesn't feel like anything. It's the ending of feeling. You realise feeling, which is quite natural experience. We all feel things. Everything that you feel, it's got a certain push to it. Pleasure pushes you one way, pain pushes you another way. Is that right? Anybody like pain? No? Right. But does it happen? Yeah. We get pushed. Pleasure, we get pleasure too. Everybody like pleasure? Enjoy pleasure? Yeah? Is there enough of it? No. So as we get hungry for more of it, want to last. So pleasure and pain are both difficult experiences. Feeling pushes, never satisfies. So you say, well, what can you do about that? You have to feel things. You say, yes, you do, but there's also what people don't recognise as something doesn't feel anything. It's just about balance. And if we find this quality which is just about balance, you notice balance means there's no pushing one way or another, right? So if you stand in balance, you realise, oh, there's that. There's the left side, there's the right side. And this is where there's no pushing or pulling. It's quite calm. And that quality itself doesn't have a feeling to it. You could say you feel it as a kind of open space. And it's probably the most important thing. Because everything else is pushing you one way or another. And so your mind is always rocking. And when it's rocking around, it's very difficult to make proper judgments. Because every judgment is affected by feeling. Every judgment is affected by self-interest. Search for dislike of pleasure, of displeasure. Those affect us. You find this balance, and the quality of balance, as you settle into it, is it can spread over the feeling, and instead of the mind following the feeling, the mind stays with the balance. You notice then feeling arises, moves, passes on. So we get sensitive, this is where the world ends. So the world that ends is the world of praise and blame. The world of succeeding and failing. World of having status and prestige and losing it. That's where it ends. It's a kind of, but it's also a place you can, even though the world ends, you can rest there. It's not nothing. It's just there's no pushing of the world pushing. So this is definitely a place to become familiar with. So I notice just in my own experience, when you come to a devoted Buddhist country or a Buddhist place or a Buddhist center, and the people lift you up, look at you with respect, look after you, and help you. And in Britain, you go to a Buddhist monastery and lift up, and you go out in the street and you go down. Because if you're on a train or a bus, people aren't just some silly old man, you know. So then you go down. You come to the monastery and you go up, and then you go down again. You think, oh, that was the end of status just ended, and now you've got another status. And so you go to the immigration. You go to immigration in America, you come to immigration here. What are you doing? I come to spread peace. Huh? Are you going to work? Well, not really. How much does it cost? Doesn't cost anything. So okay, thank, move on. So as you go down, because you're a suspect, you see. Because if you don't have any money, and you're wearing strange robes, you must be suspicious. Streeters are kind of, they always pat me. It's like a welcoming ceremony when I come to America. They would pat. What's you got under here? I open my robes up and find out what you got. We've got a bomb or something. Stand there. So it's kind of, I treated it as a sort of a welcoming ceremony. It makes me feel better about it. But whatever it is, you can say it's welcoming or it's it's a search. But then you just put your mind into, okay, this is just contact, sensations, feelings, some people experiencing something. What's it got to do with me? So you find that way in which you're not being affected by how people see you, what people make of you. It's their business. They want to make something, but within you stay steady, because you realise even praise is a problem. Blame is not very pleasant, but praise is also a problem. What's the problem with praise? It lifts you up. You catch hold of it, you get excited, and then you lose your balance. You start to get egotistical. And then sometime later somebody criticises you, fall down again. So they don't pick it up. And then, you kind of course in Buddhist meditation circles, praise and blame is rather more subtle. They say, well, are you a stream enterer? Or are you a non-returner? Or are you an arahant? Failed. And this other monk, he's definitely a stream enterer. He's definitely an anagami. He's only been a monk 15 years, he's an anagami. He's a non-returner. So who's the best monk? Who's the best meditation teacher? Any anagamis? Any non-returners? So, well, my teacher's an anagami, non-returner. Well, so what? My teacher's an arahant. So these things, these labels become problems. It's best not to be anything. So that's what Luang Por Charles said. He said, I don't, any of it, none of it's useful. All you need to know is whether there's any suffering or any stress, any grasping, any claiming. Or you need to claim yourself as being anything for. Why do you need to claim anything? So what do we want in our lives? A sense is the course in the Buddhist presentation, this Eightfold Path, and you have these polarities of two extremes, annihilation, materialism. Repressing the senses, getting involved with the senses. That's a very good That's the first thing the Buddha said, really. He said, if you follow repressing the senses, this is painful, ignoble, and doesn't get you very far. If you follow indulging in the senses, following in the senses, feeding on the senses, this is ignoble, doesn't get you very far. The middle way, the Tathagata, is different. So this is the balance. As the Tathagata knows this is pleasure, this is pain, and not overwhelmed. Doesn't let pleasure or pain take over. That's the difference. Buddhas experience pleasure and pain, but it doesn't take over their awareness. Their awareness is not restricted by it. When pleasure comes in, they don't grab it. When pain comes in, they don't fight it. They don't grab it. They feel it, let it pass through. So the Tathagata never loses balance. So this is what our teacher is presenting as the model. So when you begin to just really review all the statements, and what one wishes for, you want to be an arahant, you want to be a stream enterer, you want to be good meditator. What are you actually looking for? What are you looking for? I like to know that I'm succeeding. So, I like to know that I'm on the right path and I'm succeeding. Not that I've spent 20 years or so and I haven't got anywhere at all. Spent 20 years meditation, I've got nowhere. I'm a complete failure. I'd like to know that after 20 years of meditation, I've got somewhere. I've arrived at a state. I am something. And then I've got these signs and nimitters, realizations that proves I've got somewhere. And I feel good. And then some teacher comes along and says, that's all delusion. All those signs and nimitters it's a distortion of perception. It's all a delusion. You're totally patugina, worldling, you haven't got anywhere. Crash, failure. I don't want that. So I want to really be sure, what are you looking for? When you come down to it, when you escape from that rocking, success and failure, praising and blaming, you want to become something solid. And the Buddha said, this is the wrong view. This is a path that goes beyond succeeding and failing. It's the path of emptying, letting go. And that may sound like nothing, but actually means supreme balance, because if you take up any position, then you have to deal with the contradictions of it. Take up any position, somebody's going to challenge it. Maybe you've got it wrong. So, which is the best kind of Buddhism. Theravada is the best kind of Buddhism. That's pure. What about Pure Land Buddhism? That's even purer. Who's the purest? Or is that just a delusion? What about Zen, empty, wordless Buddhism? So you see this kind of, what are we looking for? I want to feel I'm right. Not on the wrong path, I'm on the right path. I feel I'm succeeding. And say, no, that's not the way it goes, because your mind is still in the attachment to a subtle kind of pleasant feeling. And as you understand feeling, push of feeling, way it pushes you. You don't want to support anything that keeps dependent upon feeling. So that sense of mind is floating, not taking up a position one way or another. This is the essence of what we're trying to affirm. So we could say it's quite natural, but like anything else, like if you want to stand up, you couldn't do that when you were 9 months old. Right? It took some practice to get it right. Now, if you want to stand on your head, you can do that. It takes a bit of practice to get the balance. So once you get there, it feels very steady. And yet it takes practice to get to that balanced state where things are just held in poise. And it's like an inner quality of tuning in. And this is the example the Buddha, in talking about developing sati, mindfulness, he spoke quite a couple of times, particularly on the theme of mindfulness as that which holds balance, because it can bear, it can sustain this sense of balance. And so take one image. An image of a person who has a particular task, what they have to do is put a bowl of oil on their head. This bowl of oil is full to the brim. And he says, now somebody's going to stand behind you with a sword. Now you walk. And if you drop, spill any oil, it cuts your head off. Now, as you walk through, you're going to walk through a crowd of people. And on the side of you, and right in front of you, they're going to get a girl to do some dancing. So, do you think he'd be looking at the crowd? Do you think he'd be looking at the girl? Do you think he'd not notice them? Because if he didn't notice, he might walk into the crowd. So he's aware of them, and yet he's not. His attention isn't going out, it's collected. So you have a sense of his awareness, and yet you realise the important thing is the excitement of the crowd, the excitement of the dancing, the attraction of that, or don't like the noise of the crowd. You can't follow the feeling. As you follow the feeling, your head comes off. Right? So this, you can do it. You can sense contact is happening, you can sense it, the feeling's there, but you don't follow it. He said this is one example of proper establishment of mindfulness. Now the effects of this, he gave another example. The effects of finding balance. So just take another example. You imagine you have a couple of acrobats who work as a team. One acrobat's a large man, the other acrobat is a little girl. They work as a team. So what happens is the big man, he walks on a pole, long, like a horizontal pole. He walks on this pole. The little girl, he has another pole balanced on his shoulder, and she sits on the end of this pole. So she's balancing on top of him, and he's balancing on top of the pole. So you have to be like that. You say, this is going to be tricky, because there's a whole crowd of people watching us. Yeah. We're frightened that we're going to lose our balance, we're going to fall over. So he says, look, I'll keep my eyes on you to make sure you're okay, and you keep your eye on me to make sure I'm okay. And she says, no, that's not the way to do it. I'll maintain my balance, you maintain your balance. And that way, by looking after ourselves, keeping our own balance, we'll act together as a team. we'll act together. If I'm balanced and you're balanced and we're together, everything is in harmony. Then we can do our trick, get down from the pole and collect our fee. And this is an example of how a sense of balance is not just purely self-centered. And it's something that if you maintain your own balance, then it encourages other people to also find their balance. When people are balanced themselves, they're naturally living in harmony with each other. So it says, you maintain your balance, I'll maintain my balance. How then should we regard other people? We're not telling them what to do, guiding them to be this way or that way. What is our relationship with other people? The Buddha says in certain things. First thing, no harming, no harm, no harsh instinct, no harsh responses. When you're in balance, that doesn't happen. Second thing, patience. When you're in balance, you have patience with others. Because the sense of the pressure of success and failure doesn't mean anything. So you're just patient. Person's late, she doesn't turn up on time, you can get angry, and that would not make anything any better. You get upset, you complain, and that would just make things worse. Or you can think, I want to save myself the problem of all that and just maintain my balance. Yeah. And what helps then, I deliberately say, this is the time to cultivate patience. The balanced person knows what they can do and what they can't do. Yeah. Third quality, loving kindness. Non-aversion. You can feel the sense of aversion or irritation, or you can relax it. Balanced person knows the qualities of ill will and impatience and aversion make them lose balance. So they relinquish it. No room for that. And certainly, we look at the life of the Buddha and the Arahants, often they were accused and blamed and even physically attacked, but they never had any aversion, because it's finished. So somebody's blaming themselves, he's blaming. That's his problem. You don't pick it up. And he often recommended to his disciples, he said, if somebody's praising the Tathagata, you should not get excited, you're just saying, oh, the person's telling the truth. And if they criticize and blame the Tathagata, you should not get upset, you think, the person's making a mistake. And so, then the tide of favouring and disliking doesn't wash over, you maintain that. And therefore naturally there's a quality of heart openness. Aversion doesn't take over. When aversion doesn't take over the mind, over the heart, it naturally has a loving, embracing quality to it. Fourth, another quality that arises is called sympathy or empathy. It means you really understand how people suffer. And you're aware of that. You're sensitive to that. You have a sense of compassion for that. And this also is a sense in which you're not judging people. I remember somebody mentioning when they had a Lumpur Liam. I don't know if you've ever met Lumpur Liam. He's a very, very peaceful monk, very quiet, peaceful monk. He was the abbot of Wat Pong Pong. Somebody was saying this monk was kind of coming up to Napoleon. He was kind of criticising and blaming, and this, now you do this one time, and again. Oh dear, person's sick, sick in the head. So not only wasn't he kind of averse to it, he was also thinking, oh, the poor man's suffering. So he's seeing somebody getting angry with him. He wasn't concerned about it, he was just concerned the person's welfare. That's because he's not moving. He's not moving, he's not resisting blame or following, it's just not moving. When the mind's not moving, in that respect, you think, oh, how are you? So this is the, and if we imagine if we can fulfill this, what results of that are? This is progress. In human terms, this is progress. And so if you're ever trying to sense, I sometimes get these questions, how can I make my brother behave himself? How can I make my sister better than she is? How can I make my mother some other way? How can I stop my father being like this? And I think, how can you stop suffering over other people? Is the question. You can't make anybody into anything. But if you cultivate harmlessness, patience, loving kindness and sympathy, they can sense that. And those who can listen, pick it up. This is where we get the quality called equanimity. Equanimity is a sense in the mind is open, sensitive, sympathetic. Some things you can do, some things you can't do. Some things are pleasant, some things are unpleasant. Sometimes things succeed, sometimes things fail. Some things break down, some things grow. Mind stays steady. This is the theme guiding our practice. It's the place in the middle of the world, where the world ends. You don't have to run far to get to the end of the world. You have to stop running to get to the end of the world. So I'll pause for your reflection this evening.